Hey y'all! I am so glad to be back. I'm sorry I've got super reflective glasses on today. You're gonna have to see the ring light through them. But it's so good to be back. And I wanted to say my last recording, which was episode 12, Duality, where I shared something really personal that's going on with my kids' lives and therefore me, and impacted me greatly, both on both ends of the emotional spectrum. And just thank you for allowing me to have a space to kind of like just be honest. And I am still processing through it, still healing, but I feel good. And that's okay. And that's more of the duality continuing, right? Like realizing how big my container space is. I say container space, but I mean it like, feels like another landscape for my energy, where I can have this huge like happiness and gratefulness and hope for the future. And also have this thing that happened, right, with my kid, my youngest kid, that's just extremely sorrowful. I mean, I have a lot of grief about that for them, and, working through those related issues. And it's okay. And it's okay. And we can have a moment to cry, and the next moment we start busting out laughing. Anyway, but today, and so living through duality, but today is an oracle reading for this full moon in Virgo. So we're moving forward, just going through. And it's going to be like for the Pacific time zones, it's going to be super late tonight, like around 11:48 p.m. So most everybody else is going to experience this tomorrow morning, which is the 18th, March 18th. And it's like Virgo moon here, and then like a bunch of planets that are like cupping it on the bottom, or basically wherever it is in the solar system is like opposition. So we're going to have a lot of emotions, and because of the Virgo moon, you can kind of get really critical. So kind of watch that energy for yourself. And I don't know where in the sky, for those who don't know astrology, when we were born, depending on where we were in the earth and the time and date, obviously, creates this snapshot of the cosmos that surrounds us on earth in the middle, right? And you. And so depending on where this energy is of the zodiac, imagine the zodiac circles around us. Like Virgo could be over here. Well, that in astrology, if you start studying it, is a certain house that relates to a certain area of life, of emotional life, spiritual life, and physical life. And it gives you hints on what kind of things might pop up for you. And mine actually, I started following astrology because it just started making sense and having some guidelines and starting planning my life and just a little bit, getting hints and stuff. And I think there's still supposed to be some questions because that's what we're supposed to live, but it's a great tool. So the oracle, the oracle for this full moons are typically release. So I might talk about something that we have to kind of look at within ourselves and release. I'm trying to just intuitively kind of think, but I think I just want to leave it there. So, but again, thank you for those who have sent me good vibes. I appreciate it for me and my kids and our family, just in general. All that's appreciated. And I send it back to you, and I thank you. And ain't love and life just beautiful and complex? So anyway. All right, so the oracles I'm going to use today, the cards, are going to be these guys. Hopefully, I'm trying to grab it without even looking. Okay. The first one is the Gaia Oracle. This has been actually a deeper oracle than I expected. I've been working with it just recently. And it's by Tony Carmine Salerno, Salerno. Anyway, this has been pretty deep. So just heads up, that's a good one. Then I got that we're going to use Goddess Guidance Oracle cards. I love the goddess stuff. Like, I'm just trying to connect with that a little bit more recently. And it's by Doreen Virtue. Granted, I had she's no longer kind of in this biz, in the spiritual biz, not at least not in the metaphysical. So just kind of ignore that part. God bless her. But they're great. They're great little cards. I don't mean to say little, you know what I mean. They're good. They're good cards. This last one is Angel Answers by Radley, and they spell their name really interesting. Valentine. And Angel Answers, I usually ignore all time frames. Watch, when I pull, I'll get time frames, but I think Spirit is really kind of flowy with us about time, and I think we're supposed to be flowy about time, so we'll see what we get. I usually kind of avoid that deck, but I pulled it. So anyway, I'm going to start with the Gaia Oracle. Here they go. And I have already protected myself, grounded myself into the earth, surrounded myself in this space with love, light, and divine protection. And so what I'm going to do now is set my intention. And I did it before the video, but I kind of like to say it out in front of you guys. So you guys just remember where I'm trying to pull this energy from. And I ask that, I ask God that they communicate with me through angels, the divine truth for whoever's listening at this time, whatever is most helpful and healing for the highest good of all involved. And that this message is to help, to heal, to love, or to serve. All right, so let's see what we got. These decks are already ready to roll, but I'm going to shuffle, sorry, a little blank there on my mind. Shuffle this card deck real quick, just 2 times. I'm just feeling led to do it 2 more times. And I usually check them, you know, it's like this very scientific way of killing your cards in case something falls out. But these have been kind of new, so they're hard to kind of pop out. Or if they pop out, there's like 5 of them. Okay, well, nothing happened right there. So I'm going to pick, just working out with you guys. So I'm going for the middle. What do we got? Rising above, clarity, freedom, solution. That's encouraging. Oh, all right. Okay, sorry, I realized I should have just grabbed those 2, but I missed that message. I don't think it was for it. I had 2 cards that were on the floor, not on the floor, but on the desk, and I'm shuffling them back in. Okay, let's see what the other 2 cards are. Because I'm going for 3 total. Harmony, am I reading this backwards when I say power, self-confidence, productivity? And productivity, it gives me a little Virgo moon thing. There's something in our routines, perhaps daily habits, health routines, food habits that kind of need to be looked at. You know, we are a physical vessel, and as long as as one of our layers, right, of experience. In my opinion, we've got 5 layers, basically. I don't mean to be all this exact. There are only 5 layers of existence. Okay, I could be wrong. I'm open to that too, right? But so far, what makes sense to me is seeing myself as multi-layered. I have the physical, I have the mental, I have the spiritual, I have the emotional, and I have something called the roots, which is literally my connection with the earth. I just think it's something special. It's part of our existence. It's part of us cleansing ourselves, getting healing, receiving, like there's something about it, okay? It's separate from spiritual with spirit. It's this earthy grounding kind of energy that's protection, because I ground to the earth to kind of help clear my energy and my humanness so I can receive this, like it's almost like we need that connection to receive the above connection, in my opinion, of my spiritual beliefs. And you're going to get that on this channel. So anyway, I'm getting that vibe for that one. Like, so it's like physical vessel is part of this. Like it's got to kind of, it has to be looked at and addressed for us to be able to work with spirit a little bit more and be better in all sorts of areas of our lives. I mean, it makes sense, right? The other one is kind of up here. I'm feeling the third one up here. I mean, what is it? Jewel within a teardrop. Appreciation, spiritual, and emotional reconnection. Ooh, and that feels a little sad, to be honest. Okay, let me kind of tune in. And what I'm getting from this right now is I'm kind of just tuning in. Okay, this jewel within a teardrop kind of got me. And for me, I kind of had my sad moment recently. I think the energies right now are kind of highlighting, if you guys can kind of see it, it's not really a super happy card. The energies right now, even cosmically, are just, it's stressful. We have some large, I shouldn't say large. We have some outer planets that are really opposing one another for a good amount of time this year. And when that happens, it's like we're doing the scrapey review of our lives, right? And scrapey in my family. I don't know if I've said this on a previous video or not, because I do other videos for other things. But scrapey is basically like when you need to have enough roughage in your diet so you can like have regular poo. And it's scrapey time for our lives, right? And like more than one thing. Like a lot of us are starting to wake up to an energy of life that we don't really want to continue with. And that could be in a certain portion of your life. It could be just in general. You feel a little kind of unconnected, disconnected. And it gets to a point where that becomes so painful, you can't continue and you have to change. Like you just know, I can't continue. Things aren't Like I have to do something, I have to believe something else because it's just too painful to continue. And this says appreciation, spiritual and emotional reconnection. So that's that. That's this like kind of like, I'm so sad. I have to look at what am I believing? What am I telling myself? Maybe there's something to the idea that, and again, my belief here coming out, what we think in our heads and what we feel in our hearts, like with consciousness, is what we attract in our lives. You know, Wayne Dyer had a really nice quote of like, we attract what we are. And so if you are being negative centric, you're going to be in some way toward yourself, okay? Toward life, toward God. That's going to be reflected in your life through some chaos and you know, discomfort. And this isn't for me to tell you to make you feel bad, okay? This is part of the human existence that we all go through, that we have waves of, that we are unpeeling the layers of that onion constantly. Me too, okay? Right there with you on that. There are some deep beliefs that we really have to examine. And the spiritual reconnection for me, I like through this shitstorm in my life that I recently have gone through. I can't remember if I said it again. It's called, if you look at my channel, episode 12, because I'm doing the longer talks of like updates in my life episodes because I'm putting them on my podcast platform. And it's called episode 12, duality, or maybe episode 13. I'm kind of blanking here. Sorry. But yeah, when shit hits the fan, I'm telling you, I go back and I circle around to my beliefs. My beliefs that I do believe God is a benevolent, wonderful, loving energy, that I'm connected to it, so much so that I am it. And that might trigger some of you out there. The fact that I'm saying this soul layer within me is so strong, and that's who I identify with. Like, I am source. I am love. I am peace. I'm all these beautiful things. And when you live in that space, you aren't living in a triggered situation anymore with others as much. Again, layers of an onion. This doesn't happen quickly. You start realizing and seeing that other people's wounds who come at you unfairly are wounds that you probably have within yourself. And then you just start having this crazy unconditional love for people. And again, it starts like a smattering, and then you start realizing it more and more. And that's the onion layers that kind of keep on going deeper with people. And you start realizing with the harder and harder shit that comes your way, how much you can forgive, how much you can see oneness and love and unconditional love and feel it within. Because you're allowing your consciousness, your active consciousness, like my thoughts, to basically hear within the brain. I'm telling myself, I am so connected. I came from God. I came from source. However you want to phrase it. Think about it. What does this discussion inspire within you about how do you see yourself? For me, I thought I do have a soul, and it's because of weird shit that's happened in my life. I understand there's another like energetic existence out there. I got there really easy just because of other things that happened in my life. So if you're kind of like, if there's not even a God, I don't know what to tell you. I'm already past that point. I'm kind of talking about for once you get to that point, if you're already there. And that's another podcast. I kind of covered that in my earlier podcast about how I chose that there is a God. And I think it's like episode 2 or 3 or 4, one of those. But once you get there, and then you're like, okay, well, my soul is that. There's a lot of questions about like, what is your soul? Is it God? Is it not? I decided to agree that my soul is actually source. That is what it is. It's a cup of the ocean water. You know, God's the ocean. I'm a cup of the ocean water. This soul within me, this layer. And that layer has all the good qualities and powers of healing, of creation, of, you know, love, of forgiveness, like as God does. Like those powers are also mine within. Now that can be really sacrilegious for some people. And I didn't like it at first. I really hesitated on even thinking it. I thought it was so horrendous to think that I was as good as God. And I realized the healing within me on my energy and my inner peace happened the moment I opened up to that statement. And it's not about the ego. I'm talking about your soul layer. So, but it triggers our egos when we hear that, because we've had, millennia that we are POSs without, within us, we're POSs. We're going to always sin. We're always going to have this cycle. Yeah, that's what you believe. But that's the mind trying to take control. If you go and connect with your soul and you examine those truths and you start identifying with that layer, you have another way of living. And it can just really bring this reconnection back to life and make your life more peaceful. Harmony. That's the next card, right? So power, self-confidence, productivity. I'm telling you, you are lit up once you reconnect. Once you reconnect and open to the fact that you are source, you are God. I'm saying it, peeps. I'm saying it. Your soul existence is the same material and stuff as God. It brings harmony into your life, energetically within you. I just think so much stuff changes. And because you're vibrating higher, yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable. Things start going away. But they're things that weren't meant for you long term. And if you're hearing this and you're too uncomfortable with me saying the stuff about your soul being like so direct from source, it is source, that it is God, it is love. It's all those loving qualities of God. It's not the retribution-y stories that we get in the Bible that was written by man, but it's like the actual stuff that we think about with God, like the adjectives you use when you would think of a God source yourself. Outside of all the wounds, how would you call source? It's all the good adjectives. And when you take that on, and you realize the creation power, I'm telling you, if you want to be an astronaut, you're going to be an astronaut. If you want to be, well, there's certain limitations, but I'm saying the world feels so much more open and you feel so much freer. You can do anything. You want to write a book? Write a book. You want to do a podcast? Do a podcast. You want to, have peace with your family? I'm telling you, those relationships, because your perspective changes with this energy, you're not as triggered. You realize their wounds talking, you know how to create your lines, and you're done. You don't fixate like you used to about how they're perceiving you, about any of that shit. Like, that just stops. And it becomes powerful. This is like, you can go out there and create this beautiful soul project that you were meant to be here. You feel empowered. That's what happens. So that was pretty. That's really cool. So the last card, rising above, clarity, freedom, solution. Like, dude, you lifting off. You're lifting off and you're just like, holy shit, I can do anything. Oh my God, where do I want to live? Like, where do I even live? Like, the whole world is open. Like, you just want to you're like, I can go to Egypt. I can do that next year if I want to. Fuck. Excuse my language, y'all. I'll put explicit on my videos for a reason. But I'm telling you, you just get lit. Like, the inner fire becomes so like magnified. And it's available once we do this. If you look at this emotional and spiritual reconnection with God and you realize that that's within you, and doesn't that sound like a God thing, y'all? That we come here, we forget who we are, and it's all about, and we have all these 3D things about, what you make, and, all these like struggles about, the 3D, like getting money, getting property, like that's what we should do. These high positions, promotions, bonuses, all this kind of crap. We should go after it. And then that thing doesn't make you happy. Even when you're in it and daily life sounds like a fucking grind, like you're not happy. You want to know why? Because it's a hole that was meant to be filled within. That you're meant to come to this conclusion or exploration. You might find it your own way, but I'm just trying to plant a seed for you to get started. How do you see yourself? How really, like, you're not even like for me, initially I thought of my soul as feminine Susie. And then I realized, holy crap. Like, for me, I'm talking probably to some other people who've been in the metaphysical field for a little bit longer. I see myself more with oneness. And I see myself as a splinter of all this oneness from all the souls out there. And it's just like, y'all, I want to cry when I think about that energy. Just for a split second, I get overwhelmed, and they can't show me that energy too much because it's too much for me. But anyway, I'm telling you, and then with that knowledge, I know my family's going to be all right. And we are all right now. Like where we are right now, I'm just happy and at peace. And yeah, I might have a WTF moment on those days where something hits the fan. That's human. I tell you, I circle around real quick. And then when you can circle around to this like perspective, the soul perspective, like this higher, like you're the eagle looking down, you can see soul perspective. For those who've looked into shamanism stuff before, you just aren't scared as much. You don't go to wounded reactions like before when I would be in trauma. Like my grandma died once, and I mean, once, but anyway, see, laugh, duality here. Laugh with me, chuckle with me. But she died, and when she died, it was like the trauma was up to here. I'm trying to put my hands at the top of the viewing screen. Like the trauma was up to here. Significant person in my life. I literally was holding her at the time, touching her, holding her when she died, like literally. And it was just an impactful moment in my life. Many, many reasons. And then something happened at work that was critical and high pressure and stressful. And something happened in my health. That it was significant. I had to take care of my body. And it was like, I was already up here. And then I was like, God, you put more? I knew I was above. And then I started shutting down. I had to eat better because I had a physical thing going on. But it was like, I stopped communicating to people. I stopped being really active in my own family. I could tell I shut down to my spouse, to my kids. I can't remember if I, started drinking more at that time or not. I probably would have. I don't remember it. But, that kind of stuff. Like you go to those things. Like you isolate and you just shut down emotionally. And I didn't realize I'd done that for a good year after that. Like really, truly my emotional shutdown. As I kind of tried to work with my body and get that healed, I was still emotionally shut down. But that's what you do when I didn't have this idea of I'm connected to source. I'm not carrying all this energetically. I am love and I am peace and I can get through this. And like all this confidence comes from that knowledge. Like this sounds like a simple thing, or maybe I think I would have poo-pooed this idea, years ago, because I kind of thought consciously, well, of course I know that I'm a good person. I'm a, good soul. And I kind of didn't think about it much, but I was like, yeah, I'm a good soul. But the problem is this is a deep belief thing. And I didn't realize that there were layers of other beliefs there from just having been a young kid and the way I interpreted things. You kind of like subconsciously take in crap, and that crap is there, like for all of us. Like, unless you lived in the Garden of Eden, like you have a subconscious issue, like already, like by the time you have adulthood, like I'm sorry you do. And I wouldn't have thought that I didn't think myself very well, but I did have the dogma of I'm a sinner and I'm separate from God. And I did need to heal that. In my opinion, once I healed that, a lot of things came together for me in my vibration and my inner peace. So, and again, I kind of tackle it more in another episode on my podcast, which I know I'm slow to kind of download here on my YouTube, but I will eventually. Maybe this Virgo full moon will make me do it. But I sound such like an astrology person when I say that. But it's real. And yeah, if you're not comfortable with that, it's just kind of like, look at why. Were you raised up in an environment that kind of does that whole savior structure, that you're okay to go to heaven only through this thing, only through this practice, only through this belief. And mine's a little different. And mine is from the moment you are breathing. It's just the nature of the soul. It's going to go back. We already have a return ticket. It was done the moment you started life. And all this else is just like, you're supposed to just live in the higher vibes so that you kind of learn these lessons and enjoy your time here and help the world. So that's me. That's my spiritual belief in kind of a very small nutshell. But that is the energy that I'm getting for this Virgo new moon. And Virgo, yeah, it's data collection, it's belief system. And the thing is, this kind of belief can positively affect your daily habits, which is very Virgoan. So I'm telling you, there's inner peace available much more readily than we realize. That it doesn't sound like a God thing, that all we have to do is wake up, that we have this power within, that we had it within. We don't even need to go to Mecca. We don't even need to go to temple. We don't need to see anybody. We don't need to kiss anybody's ring. Nothing. Like this healing is all within us, that once we believe that we came from God and we are God, that we have these beautiful things within our soul, like that soul layer, then it's like we just need to get our minds, the ones that make the bad decisions sometimes fueled by the emotional side, existence, to tune in and line up. But once you're aligned with that goodness that's inside of you, which is inside of everybody. And then you live, I think, much more, at a better vibe, at a better, I hate using judgy words like better, but it's been better for me. Especially given the fact that I just had a shit week last week. Like, that was tough, like on so many levels. So yeah, I feel like I'm talking from experience. But if this is too triggering for you, this whole idea, then go listen to something else. This wasn't time for you to hear it. It's okay. All right, goddess guidance. I'm gonna see if they pop out. Fingers crossed. Nope, nothing yet. They haven't been popping for me lately, so they're making me go. They're making me focus on using my intuition and trusting it. So I guess I'm gonna have to pop it. Dana, High Priestess, you have divine knowledge that can help others through your spiritual teaching. See, divine knowledge, when we tap into it, then we're like spreading it like crazy to all other people who need it too. It's just this beautiful, this little light of mine kind of concept. It goes passed around. Sorry, I try not to, I do have a Christian upbringing, so it comes out sometimes in my examples. I hope it doesn't trigger anybody. I don't mean it that way. And then, let me see, Abundantia, mutilating that name. It says prosperity. The universe is pouring its abundance out to you. Be open to receiving. Okay, so once we believe this, like that whole freedom thing, and what was that second card? I can't remember now. Harmony, power, self-confidence, productivity. Like, that's what I'm saying. The abundance, like, once you get lined up, like, things are going to start resolving in your life. Like, abundant good things, like prosperity starts happening. So, like, that negative, like, thing, the universe is all about, like, whatever you think in your mind, it wants to show you. Like, you're a huge magician. If you're thinking that, oh God, this happens all the time, like the universe is always out to get me. It's been throwing shit left and right, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's going to keep happening. But the moment you kind of realize that, you know what, this is all, maybe I'm part of a divine plan. I need to just kind of allow and accept. And as it comes to me, I can accept and work in my high vibe of just like figuring out my emotional, spiritual container is bigger than I thought it was. Accepting it and like not like repressing your emotions. Like, it just, you won't go to those shadow coping mechanisms. And then instead, you're going to get more blessings because you're not going to be in the negative. Like, the negative won't keep coming to you. And I do think there's certain tests that come back. So, okay. So like, I don't think we're always in the free the moment we get, and this is, like I said, layers of an onion. This stuff like takes time, but that's okay. We're all in it for the ride anyway. So, okay, this is the angel answers. I'm going to go for it, but you know how what I said about like time frames, let's see what they do. Okay, what does it say? Ask your angels. Ooh, I feel like this is just kind of a funny way. Now, I'm working with the cards I have, so I have to intuitively just get the message. And that to me says prayer. Just, even if you don't like prayer, because you just kind of don't want to be around anything pious, you've been burned by the church experience before in the past, or religious dogma or anything like that. I just mean like talking. Like, I can't tell you how many times I have just talked to God while on the toilet. It's like funny places where you're just like, you know what, God? It just means like bring that discussion in. Like, have you been praying lately? Have you been talking to God and kind of like having a moment to kind of receive? Like, I don't know if you've looked at meditation, try doing that a little more. Okay, let's do one more. I don't know why I feel like it. I'm gonna do this yellow one here. It's yellow on that one side. It says perfect timing, which is, yeah, this like divine plan that so much is sometimes out of our control, and that's okay. We're control freaks because Virgo is very like mental, right? And so when we can't plan, something happens outside of our thing. man, that can just mess with us. We want to have security, and it's kind of like, you know, moving your security from your bank account to this belief system, I guess, is the way to do it. And then you just know that that money stuff is just going to work out. And that might just sound a little entitled, but it's always worked out that way for me. But I don't know, I'm going about money, but I do feel like this is just kind of a little message about perfect timing, saying, you know, God's really got it. Things are going to work out. And having that belief, yes, it's going to feel like some of you are kind of like having a blind belief. Just give it a shot. And that's all I can say about that. I think giving that a shot and like really seeing how much you kind of want to come in and resist it. No, it hasn't happened yet. Hasn't happened yet. Like, let it go. Can you live in a world where you let go of things? And because like you not letting things go is just you kind of mentally beating yourself up all the time. And anyway, I'm just saying, let's just look at that in terms of like, try not to put time pressure on whatever else is kind of going on in your head. Like, whatever we want resolved is going to be resolved with the energy that we're putting out. And if we're doing this I want it tomorrow, I want it next week kind of stuff within your wishes, that's kind of and I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I think letting go of time is a spiritual lesson in general for all of us, and that we just have to realize that we are a part of this system. And yes, we have great manifestation power, but it's part of this like sacred release. Like you would think it's just all about our little minute, you know, our power. The whole point is like we're part of this like web of other people, other, you know, grand design going on that we can't conceive, and that we have to release to it. So just think about that. I'm just going to throw some things out there that y'all are probably, that are kind of like half baked right now in terms of like, I just feel like I can't explain more. I just have to throw that out there for y'all to just kind of have a moment with, you know, on the toilet to think about or whatever. Or with coffee. Sorry, y'all. Apparently I'm just like a toilet spiritualist today. But I hope this message helps y'all in this Virgo full moon energy that's coming tonight. Yeah, man, let's just move, even if it's small moves, toward a little bit less pressure, less sadness, and connect with that truth. When you do, like, and you get in that mode, you would just wait till you feel it. You take a walk, just take a walk thinking about like, I am actually God. Like I came from God, like the soul layer. Just believe it for a walk and go feel it out. And then you're going to realize that this is really a good feeling. If it's filling your body up with like tingles and you're just like, oh my God, I feel so much love, I kind of could start crying. That's a sign. So anyway, I just send you guys love and blessings, and thank you guys for listening. All right, y'all take care. Bye-bye.